Now, stress, depression, and anxiety is running at an all-time high in our modern society today. Let's speak about it. So, stress, depression, and anxiety. Um, People around my age seems to be dealing with a lot of these things, and to be honest, I don't know what is triggering stress, depression, and anxiety in such a vast scale. Um, but it's really normal to feel these things because we are human. At times we are gonna feel stressed. At times we are gonna feel anxious, and at times we are going to feel depressed. But what we don't do is just sit back and dwell on how anxious you are, or dwell on how depressed you are. Don't sit and just submerge yourself in that, in those energies, in those states. Um, what you need to be doing, however, is taking steps, taking actions on a daily to just conquer yourself. Um, if you feel depressed, you have to really try to get to the root cause. Maybe speak to somebody about it. Um, Try find out the reason why you are depressed. And stress, as a human being dealing with stress, is quite normal. Like I said before, it's quite normal. You're going to feel stress. You have stuff going on in your life. You know what I mean? Life happens at times, and the unpredictable things show up out of nowhere, and you have to find a way how to go around it rather than just sitting and dwell on the issue, you know. So the stress you're feeling, sometimes temporarily, it's a problem, but you have to figure out a solution. You have to really sit and figure out a solution. That's where having a support system around you comes in. Somebody you could talk to. Maybe somebody like myself, you could actually come and say, yeah, this situation, and we can talk about it, and we can try to figure out how we could take steps and go around these things that's causing you stress. Depression sometimes come from our past. Probably you have regrets, and we all do. You all have regrets. And you can't really allow that. Sometimes you have to see yourself. You have to see the end of the tunnel for yourself to really roll yourself out of that depressing state. You know what I mean? And you have to roll with the punches sometimes. You just have to let life just life. You know? Um Sometimes you just have to keep the foot on the gas pedal and keep pushing regardless of how depressed you are. But again, my thing is just have good support systems around you. And if you have nobody, or a circle of friends you could go to, well, actually you could start developing your own systems. Maybe that could be like journaling, that could be like reading positive books, that could be working out, meditation. Actually, something that really helps too is like socializing in a positive way. Go outside, speak to other people, because sometimes you might be going through something and you might be feeling depressed, like if you're the only one going through something. But then you speak to somebody, and then you realize that, yo, this person has bigger problems. That person has a bigger fish is frying than what I'm dealing with. So, say all that to say, these things are really normal, and we could really cope with them upon a positive side rather than a negative side. Because when these things happen, people tend to turn to the negative stuff. They wanna drink, they wanna smoke the problems away, they want to indulge in myriads amount of vices. Yes, and vices, these things sometimes make our life feels worse than it seems, and it's not doing any good for us. So people dabble in vices when they're stressed, when they're depressed, when they're anxious, and it's really not helping. Yes, you need some form of way to cope. We all do need some form of way to cope, but it's how you choose to cope, right? And anxiety now, well, a lot of young people tend to be dealing with anxiety, and sometimes anxiety just comes from a fear of the future. I myself dealt with it. But sometimes until you get down and just decide that, hey, I'm gonna take action in a certain direction towards something, the anxiety stops, and a lot of it is just we that are in our heads. Majority of the time we are already predicting an outcome that is not even true, that is not even the reality. Sometimes we are just in our heads too much. Yeah, mind every second overthinking about, rather than seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. I could recommend a book that would probably help you overcome anxiety. I will recommend the book called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Yes, a Stoic philosopher. And he speaks upon anxiety as well, because he himself, and Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor at the time, and he had to deal with it all. He has a whole empire to run. So he's a man, he knows what anxiety does and what is anxiety. He dealt with it. And a man in that position, you can't say no, he haven't dealt with any anxiety. Yes, he dealt with it because he was the head honcho, the one who has to deal with all the complaints of people, the one who have to be in meetings, the one who have to wage war, the one who have to bring peace, So a man like that in his position, yeah. Marcus Aurelius, that book called Meditations. And sometimes we only create our own problems in our own heads at times. And you need to learn how to live out and express yourself. Yeah. So that's my take upon stress, depression, and anxiety. You guys tap in with me for more.